All right, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to SOS ServerSave Partner Webinar. My name is Derek Wood, I'm the Partner Product Manager here. I'm joined by Shaylin Herrick, the Director of Business Marketing.
Good morning, afternoon.
And today we're going to go through our services, our partner program, and how you can all come in and make some money in this program with our services. We're going to start by going over a quick overview of the industry of SOS, and then talk about the services. What services are there? What do they mean to you as the partner? And what do they mean to you as your customers? We're going to go through the entire partner program, what you get with it on top of the services, to discuss why it is that coming into SOS is really kind of getting a business in a box, and how this really affects the managed service market and helps you, jump that gauntlet into managed services. And again, some more features and benefits, competitive comparisons, and we'll also do a quick run through the software. So to get started, first, the industry of cloud backup. If we look at the graph on the right, you see where we have it today, which is right in the middle of an early majority, which means that essentially the small business market is opened up to this type of service. So this is 2011, 2012 that we're looking at right now, and we're looking to be exiting the late majority in about 2014, 2015. If you look at the innovator stage and the early adopters, that's really where we were 2005, 2006, and then we saw some growth with the early adoption really growing in the consumer market between 2007 and 2010. And now our focus on security and on our partner program is really paying off now that small businesses all across America are not only adopting at small levels already, but looking at further adoption if they haven't already, and the ones who haven't are adopting. So we're having an increase in adoption rate plus an increase in the level of adoption. Moving right along, with our services, we believe we've reached that price functionality inflection point. So what small businesses were paying for previously with bare metal backups as well as file and folder backups, we're now seeing that ability in our services today, and at a price that's not only competitive but rather disruptive to the market. So the whole idea behind our services is that we're giving you the ability to really enter into this huge growth period, and at a price point that really undercuts all the competition, and for better service. When we're talking about managed services and how this relates to that, managed services is the biggest trend in IT since, I guess, software as a service, which was a few years back. With software as a service, which is essentially what we provide to our partners, is here's a piece of software, we're going to keep it updated, and that's our service. We take feedback from you, we build new features based on that feedback, and so on. Software as a service is great for the consumer market, but for businesses, people really are starting to move into a just keep it working for me relationship. And we have the conversion of, or rather the new term for risk management as a business continuity plan. Business continuity sounds productive, sounds fun, it sounds like something you want to pay for. Risk management sounds old, outdated, and expensive, and unnecessary.
And as you guys have probably already figured out, we do quote the IDC a lot because they do a lot of really great surveys and analysis around the online backup and cloud services space. And a recent survey that I looked at said that IT budgets used to have about 1.3% of their allocation into online backup and cloud services. That is anticipated to be 3% in 2014. So while they sound like small numbers, that is actually a doubling, a little bit more than a doubling of allocation of IT budget to cloud services. And businesses want a complete service. So they want your managed services, they want your time, your expertise, and your ability to come into their business and back up absolutely everything.
Exactly. And today, what's really nice about the managed service market is that it lets us as IT professionals really operate how we know we should, rather than having to argue the specifics of different levels of service and different programs or procedures you want to go through to really make sure that things are set up properly. You can just say, this is my package of services, there's no a la carte items. It's just, this is what you get, base packages.
Yeah, which makes it easy for you to price and also easy to know what your costs are. It makes it predictable for you.
Right. So you separate yourself from that commodity market by doing that, because now you're selling your business and your services with whatever services you decide to go with. SOS hopefully being one of them. So why choose SOS to be one of those services? Because we're all sorts of awesome. We're giving you more than any business really provides their partners. The web integration package, which is something that we've been doing for about a year and a half now, is really epitomizes that idea of the 360-degree partner program. We found that partners were spending anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000 with outliers of $15,000 and $18,000 to take our partner APIs and integrate it into their business so they could accept payments through their website, so they could integrate it into different items. Mass email, support ticketing systems, etc. So what we did is we went together and we found the most common tools that people were integrating our items into and productized it. And it's just a standard part of the program now. So it's a really nice site. We put it up on a subdomain. You have control over the content management system, CSS editor, mass mailer, basic support system, and of course all the SOS controls over accounts, account creation, upgrade, cancellation, change passwords, and of course integration into various merchant systems, Authorize.net, PayPal, so you don't have to go through the integration work yourself. You just plug in your credentials and then you can start receiving money through your website. Now most of our partners don't do web sales as the main part of their business, but without having to pay for the development, it's a pretty simple campaign to start as a leave behind campaign. Get your individual workers at your SMBs to sign up for the service privately. And it's just a nice way to get some high margin sales out of it. Going through the different programs, we put together a little grid here to show you what you get with the bigger players. And again, we just are really focused on this partner program. And even though we do have some direct operations, we don't really consider that to be competitive. And it's really not. Again, it's software as a service versus managed service.
Yeah, and the vast majority of our revenue does come from our partner program, so we're really vested in helping you guys grow and giving you all the tools that you need to do so. So we offer rebranded sales materials, rebranded marketing materials, and of course a client with your logo on it, and also hosted billing like Derek talked about is really critical to pushing your brand out via online campaigns, and that could be email marketing, it could be paid search, it could be directories, anything like that. And then post-sale, we do have a business development manager that will work with you for about 60 to 90 days to help you get your business up and running. So we want you to make money, and we don't cap you on that at all. So yes, this is a wholesale program, but your margin is your margin to keep. So when we're talking about selling online, all of that money passes through your hands. It never passes through us, nor are there any fees for this basic service.
A good question from Steve. He says, I see that support is 8 by 5. What if there's a problem on Saturday night? Well, we are looking to expand this this coverage. We're actually migrating most of our support back here to our LA office for our partners. So we'll be having support out of here. So that's the first step in that migration. We're going to be adding resources over the weekend, and I believe that actually starts
like in the next couple of weeks.
I think this week.
So right now we do have 24 by 5 offshore support, and we do have 8 by 5 support here in the Los Angeles office, but please look for that to expand, by the time you become a partner, say if you come on board today.
All right, so getting into the products, what are you getting with SOS? Well, starting up at 12 o'clock, we have Back Up Your Cloud Life. This is an experimental product that we're going through right now. We built a Facebook backup tool, and we're looking at expanding into Google applications, documents, Gmail, getting Twitter, because these items are becoming more and more regular as far as your startup businesses or your small businesses. Almost everyone has a Twitter account or a Facebook account that's business related. Anyone not have at least one of those, by the way. But being able to back up your contacts, your followers for Twitter, it's important. And every time there's a world event, the Twitterverse shuts down. World Cup almost took it out. The protests in Syria almost took it out. It's just, it happens all the time. And with Facebook accounts and Twitter accounts, without having something catastrophic, and it's more of just your typical, I guess we call it churn, accounts getting hacked or lost, it happens on a very regular basis every day. You need to be able to protect yourself. Just because it's in the cloud doesn't mean it's protected. It just means it's on someone else's hard drive somewhere else that you don't have control over. So we'll be, as we develop that more, we'll keep you posted. That's not what we don't deliver that as part of our wholesale rebranded partner program at this point. Although any application that we turn out, any one of the users would be able to take advantage of.
I do want to make a special point of clarification about the standard public cloud that we're referring to when we talk about Twitter and Facebook and things like that versus the SOS cloud. Data that goes in the SOS cloud is encrypted 3 times locally in transit and at rest in the data center. So it's not just the same stuff. It's not protected. Sorry, SOS data is protected in a manner that standard data just isn't. So if you have like email on Yahoo or Gmail, it just isn't protected in the same way that SOS data is.
And good follow-up question. No, we don't have an FTP that you set up to. It's actually a proprietary transfer protocol. So again, just another level of security and a good differentiation from other services. So getting into what do you get with this program? Well, going counterclockwise, at 9 o'clock we have Back Up Your Desk Life. Survey again has shown that most data for a business, it resides solely on a user's machine. Despite efforts with terminal services or whatever you got, users are just the biggest hole. They're the biggest security risk in any system. And you just have to be able to protect that. Our system wins awards time and time again, beginning with our beta version that came out in late 2005 by PC Mag Editor's Choice as being the most simple and secure service out there. And we've been boasted over just about everyone you can think of, those who have come and gone, HP Upline, and those who are still around or barely around, and those who are really the consumer market leaders like Nosy and Carbonite. So being able to give individual users their own backup account, maybe you help them set it up, and it just is very simple. You set and forget it, and if they need access to something, then they have that added access. So it can become a productive tool. Backing up your mobile line. So we do have an iPhone application that's generically branded, although published by SOS due to Apple rules and regulations. And we do have a Droid application that will be released in generic branding as well. And these allow you to back up data from your mobile devices, as well as access, search through your backup set, and share or preview certain files depending on which device you have. So that's really nice to be off-site. There's no more, oh, as soon as I get back to the office, I'll send you that document. Just pull out your phone, do a quick search, and then hit share, enter the email address, and you're good to go. Back up your file data. So this is, again, our bread and butter right here. You have these big file servers, and you need a really nice way to be able to back up at a folder and file level. Our program allows you to do that locally and off-site. Again, having a true backup solution is the combination of all these systems, not just one. So being able to back up all your file data right to the cloud, very simple and secure, very low resources needed in your systems. And what's newly added is the application data. So now we're at the 3 o'clock stage. So being able to do image-based backups of different system volumes. So you can back up SQL volumes, Exchange volumes, SharePoint. You can recover those, whether it's from an image that you have on-site or if you choose to take those images off-site. Back up your system data, same concept. Choose the volume, create an image backup schedule, and then you can take it off-site or just have it on-site. And we do have a cloud boot function where if you do have your images backed up off-site with SOS, and for some reason the local options were not there and you had to recover from the cloud, we could actually mount your machine up in our cloud, give you an IP address and access details, and be good to go. Now we come across some features and benefits. Any questions on the services we've gone through so far?
Yeah, and this is now a great time to bring up that we do give away a Kindle for attending, but you do have to ask a question in order to be entered for the Kindle drawing. So we really want to interact with you guys and hear about what your needs are and hopefully be able to address them.
And then just to reiterate the specific features and benefits of the program, every ServerSave license comes with not only a license for bare metal image creator, but also for the ability for exchange, backup, and granular recovery. Most systems make you pay an additional fee per year for granular recovery of exchange, and oftentimes being able to backup exchange is an extra fee as well. And sometimes there's more complicated items as far as configuring your backups. If you have paid for the granular recovery item, then you have to make sure your backup is set to be compatible with that. You can't just pay for it and think that, oh, it's going to work. They have different procedures in place apparently, and it's kind of complicated. It can really make you prone to mistakes. These are the two items that we really added that was a huge part of our move into the SOS ServerSave program from the online file and folder backup that we did historically, and that you don't have to deal with multiple vendors anymore. You don't have to have a relationship with Zenith or a Segra or a Dado and have to pay their exorbitant fees on hardware and all this other items. And then your techs now have to keep track of a whole other vendor relationship if they need support or more licenses or license renewals. So now you can come through SOS and we have it all. So then you get the image-based backup and more of the big backups, full systems, then online backup and recovery manager for your online backup. Underneath that, we have workstation backup listed really as a emphasis on the idea that you should use the online backup and recovery manager at all your workstations. It's simply one of the largest points of exposure to data loss in any single environment is at the user level. And it's really the simplest area to protect yourself. You just install this program at each location, and then you can use the monitoring tools to see that they are running as scheduled. Then the Premier Web Integration Package, which we talked about. Again, this is a web application that we've integrated 6 different systems into, and on top of that, we pre-populated a lot of the pages with some base content. So even though it's integrated into somewhat similar to a Joomla or WordPress tool, it's actually a CK editor, so you can manage web content. We've actually gone beyond what those services do, and we've pre-populated content for you. So you have the ability to, leave that there, make some changes, edits, and so forth. And then, of course, we talked about the mobile devices. iPhone generic is released. The Android generic will be due out in the next couple weeks here. And then BlackBerry to be determined. Any questions on the features and benefits of the specific programs?
I'll go ahead and take you guys through this quick competitor comparison. So when we first launched SOS ServerSave, we'd been living in this file and folder competitive landscape for a really long time, and we wanted to make sure that internally everyone was aware that now our company and our partners were able to offer something that we never were before, and we didn't compete in the space with Carbonite and Mozy anymore because that's just, it's simple. It's kid stuff compared to what SOS ServerSave does. So SOS ServerSave is a complete business backup solution. You're able to do transactionally consistent bare metal backups of applications, operating systems, and entire system data. You can do this for SQL servers, Exchange servers like Derek talked about, and you'll be able to see how all that works in a quick demo very soon. So let's go to the next slide so we can check out who exactly SOS ServerSave does compete with. So maybe you have competitors locally, other MSPs, other IT consultants that are offering things like Intronis and eVault or Zenith, or maybe you have others, other competitors in your area that are offering Doyen, Dado, maybe Ase. First of all, SOS ServerSave really stands out in the fact that we have 11 global data centers. We have data centers in the UK, US, Australia, Canada, and soon to be South Africa, and India and Ukraine. So we have more global points of presence pretty much anybody out there. So that's very great from a geographic redundancy standpoint, and being able to make sure that data just can't be compromised with any kind of natural disaster or any particular failure in any location. And then, of course, SOS ServerSave has all the standard server backup tools that you need. So that's bare metal backup and recovery, Exchange backup and granular recovery, Windows server backup and recovery, SharePoint server backup and recovery, SQL server backup and recovery, centralized management, which is another really cool tool that's integrated into the program that Derek will show you soon, and military-grade security. So other systems tend to fall down in this area because they don't encrypt in 3 different tiers. So backing up locally in transit and at rest in the data center is very, very important. And also flexibility in license usage. So your licenses that you receive for file and folder backup can be used on pretty much as many laptops and endpoints as you need to. So that helps you sell to multiple different kinds of businesses. You can sell to smaller businesses or very, very large businesses very easily. And of course, another key feature for businesses is automatic and infinite archiving. So especially for maybe medical offices or CPAs, keeping data backed up forever is really, really key. And a lot of competitors just don't do that. They may store data or archive it for 30 to 45 days, but not past that. But if you're going to back something up, you want to be able to get at it forever, right? You want to be able to restore it at any time, anywhere. With SOS, you can truly do that. With some other lesser solutions, you cannot. So we recently released version 5.2, which increased our flexibility and speed significantly. Our upload speeds are roughly 40% faster. For specific examples, a 15 gigabyte file uploads 25% faster than our previous version, and a 200 gigabyte file uploads 28% faster. No other software in the market touches this, and we don't throttle your backups. So you're able to go as fast as your ISP will allow you to.
Right, and again, to kind of clarify, if you go to sosonlinebackup.com, we do have a speed test that we posted on the front of our website, and we were testing against the more common online backup programs in the market, Carbonite and Mozy, and we were easily faster, but with a upload speed that really didn't show how fast, because the upload speed that was tested with was about 2 megabits per second, and that's about the limit where most services will cap you. That's where they'll throttle you down. You can't transfer any faster than that. SOS doesn't throttle you down. So when we back up out of this office, which has no direct or special tie to a data center, we upload at about 35, 40 megabits per second because we have about a 50 meg PI. So transferring over the SSL slows it down a little bit, and then whatever else you're working on, other people using it. So the procedures that we put in place with the new 5.2 build was huge. Essentially, we rebuilt, not essentially, but literally we rebuilt the entire backup engine. So the procedures for the local encryption and local compression and the file set building are dramatically faster, and they're more effective. So it makes the backup time about 40% faster. Also, the recovery time is a lot faster as well due to more effective loading and some more effective database structure. So we're really excited about that because it means we've rebuilt everything. And so for those of you who are partners, you'll see that you'll have a lot more functionality when it comes to monitoring, management, reporting than you ever had before. And it's because of this near year-long project of rewriting all the base code that we're now there. And it's a big, expensive project that some software companies will go through periodically, and we just had ours, so you're really coming in at a good time. Again, to Shailen's point, this is where we were in the file and folder market, quite compact or quite packed as far as the number of competitors that are out there, and similar services that aren't backup, but they sound like backup to consumers, or it's data offsite, FTP services, different items that really aren't the same. We've been boasted as the best in this market, but now we're truly the only company that gives you this end-to-end solution. Again, the managed service package, that is, what do you do for online backup? What do you do for online image-based backup, local image-based backup, local file-based backup? It's a complete belt and suspenders approach to business continuity, all through a single vendor, SOS, through one program, SOS ServerSave. So I think this would be a good point to take questions and jump into our demo. So I'm going to pull up a Server 2008 box.
And by the way, before we get to that really quickly, what's in front of you are our basic program entry solutions. Again, this is wholesale program. So starting this program on a monthly basis is kind of like adding a cell phone bill. You can start for as low as $399 a month, and that price on an annual basis can come down by about 3 months if you sign up for an annual package. These are prices for backing up to our U.S. data center. So if you're not in the United States, we do offer solutions for backing up to our, say, Melbourne data center, Toronto data center, London data center, etc. But there is a bandwidth localization surcharge for that. But we can do it if it's critical to your clients and critical for their government compliance.
And soon to be South African. So
yeah, soon to be South African. So our partner specialists can take you through an ROI analysis that uses these numbers coupled with your client information to figure out exactly how much money you can make with this program. It's a really cool process, and it's a total takeaway for you. So after you complete it, you get to keep the spreadsheet and play with it yourself.
That's right. You know, we're all about our partner program, and it's just as important for us to understand that it's appropriate for you to be a partner as it is for you to understand that you're going to actually make some money in the program. We want to know what kind of money you're going to make too.
Yep.
Okay, so we're just starting up server. This is Server 2008 running R2, and I'm going to launch our ServerSave product. So put my account. All right, so here we have the ServerSave product, and we're in the application view. So in the first application, you have online backup and recovery, which is the SOS bread and butter program. This is what we've been doing for years. And before we continue, I just want to make sure everyone's seeing this this new screen. It's good. You should be seeing some activity on the screen right now with a rebranded backup client. Okay, good. All right, so online backup and recovery, and we'll show you this. And this is actually a test rebrand. Right now, what we rebrand is this image down here and the product name up here, and that's going to be something you can control through the partner dashboard. And we're experimenting by adding in some more branding options as far as being able to brand the banner up here. So that's how we have this branded currently. When it comes to the other applications we have the bare metal image creator, and this is for your volume-based image backup, and then exchange granular recovery, pretty self-explanatory. It's for recovering exchange at any level, full store or down to the methods level. And then workstation backup. Again, workstation backup is more of a focus than a separate product. It is actually the same as this online backup application. It's just we really want you to back up those workstations. It's a point that a lot of service providers miss because of the lack of a simple option or because of lack of emphasis. But when you go into a client's location and have a checklist of what are you doing to protect your workstations, and you start emphasizing the importance of that, it's really nice to kind of sell your new customer or potential customer of how serious you are about this business continuity by really hitting every level. So let's first start with image creator. So we have bare metal image creator. We open this up. launch us into our wizard. And we have a couple options here. We got the wizard option, disk map, which is a volume manager. And you don't really need to take a look at this too often outside of the wizards because the wizard will help you do all that. We have our backup job, so we can come in here and edit our backup job or create new, but again, you typically do it through the wizard. I'm going to go ahead and delete this backup job. So I'm going to recreate it. And then you have different destinations, same thing as the disk map, you don't really need to go through it. And then you have the backup history. So here we have some errors, and it gives you real plain text as far as what's happening. So if I scroll down, I'll see right here, error writing a file, there's not enough space in the disk. So that just means my destination drive is full. Real simple to take care of that. Pretty standard. And in the disk map, we can see that this drive is nearly full. So let's create a quick image-based backup. So we create a backup, and hit next. We select the volumes we want to protect. I'm just going to select the exchange volume. And then you're going to select a network location. So this is where we would recommend that you set up a essentially a backup server. So you would have this backup server or staging machine. And the purpose of this whole machine is just to save local resources. Because you're doing image-based backups, one, you want to have them available locally. So you should have them available locally on some machine. What's nice about having a complete separate machine rather than just a drive is that, let's say you're backing up your web server and you're backing up to an external hard drive and the web server just dies completely. It goes under. Well, now you need a piece of hardware to mount that local backup. All you have is a drive with a backup on it. But if you have a staging machine or a backup server, then you have the images right there. You just right-click and mount, and you're good to go. And you can mount it as a virtual drive and get that running, or you can use a boot disk and mount it as a VM. It's really a nice solution to have in place. For this purpose, I'm just going to go to the F drive, because I don't have a NAS or a network machine set up to it right now. So I select here, great, and then we come into scheduling. So the historical way of doing image-based backups is to do a full image once a week and then do incrementals throughout the week. The reason you do it this way is because of disk management as well as the procedures in restoring image-based backups. Historically, you would have to restore, let's say we would need to get to Thursday. You have to restore the Sunday full, or the last full you have, and then each incremental thereafter in sequential order and separately. Well, with our system, you don't need to do that. You would just select the image from Thursday, the incremental from Thursday, and it would intelligently attach all the other files behind it and gives you this recovery file chain. So the recovery procedure from a user perspective is no different if you have 1,000 incrementals versus 5. So what we do is we do a continuous incremental, which means we're just going to run a single incremental backup. I'm sorry, a single full backup, and then we're just going to run incrementals throughout the week and every week thereafter until we decide to run another full backup. The other benefit of this is that we can create an online backup strategy out of this, because a full image of a system can take a while to back up. Let's say we're doing your web server. You have say a 10 gig web server, okay? Maybe it's a big website. Our website is pretty large. Say it's like 50 or 60 gigs. Okay, that's going to take a long time to get off site. It's just a way of how to back it up. Steve says, good engineering, fully thought out. Well, appreciate it. We just want to give you the ability to do multiple backup strategies so you have a full solution. So here you would take maybe, if we estimate about an hour per gig of data, maybe it takes us 60 hours to get that one full backup done. That's a long time. That's nearly a full week. Or if you're running for, let's say we run it for 10 hours a night, 6 full nights, that's a full week. So if you had to back up a new full backup on the weekend, it just would not be viable. So now what we do is you do one full backup, you get it up offsite, and then it'll just have to back up the incrementals. So this is actually scheduled to run every hour, so it's going to create 11 different incrementals, and it's a VSS backup that we're doing. VSS, is Volume Shadow Service. Volume Shadow Service is a Microsoft product, and what it does is it does a transactionally consistent backup with different databases. So most common databases, SQL-based, are going to have VSS enabled. This means that you can run them throughout the day when they're open and running, and that's fun. So we're going to run these backups throughout the day, and we'll have 11 different incrementals. And these do a self-healing procedure each time. So it's a really nice way of running the backups, and that was a big problem with the previous style of image-based backups in the incrementals, is that you got a green light because it ran and finished, but not because the file was validated. So this system is actually going to validate the file is good. If it doesn't, then it'll run it again, and that's fine. So you'll have, over the course of a week, 77 different incrementals, but no big deal. I'm going to show you why in a minute. Any questions on the transactionally consistent backup versus the crash consistent backup, which this is a transactionally consistent system, which VNS enables? Okay, one question real quickly. Essentially, the difference is this. Everyone tells you got to shut down your database before you can create a backup of it. It's because your databases have a lot of different points of processing transactions. And transactions are only stored as not incomplete or completed. If they're in transaction, you kind of lose that data. So if you have transactions that are happening and you have a crash consistent backup, it means you lose the records of those in progress transactions. A transactionally consistent backup will negotiate with the database and say, hey database, would you finish up what you're working on and then pause because I want to run a backup? The database says no problem, and it does that, and this all happens in milliseconds. Let's say you have some old mass 90 accounting databases that don't have VSS writer enabled. So you'll have the ability to go to advanced and go to commands here, and you can script out a pre-snapshot command to pause/stop the database, and then a post-snapshot command to restart it. So if you have older software, which some people will, and it's usually some old accounting program or some legal database, then you can come in here and you can manage it that way. Again, in some of the backup items here, you can throttle the performance on crunching that data, and also it just this is the self-healing, so getting the MD5 file when creating the image is good. And then enable self-healing incremental recovery. So I don't really know when you wouldn't want that, but this is by default enabled. Also, if you need to follow HIPAA compliance, HIPAA requires a 128-bit AES storage for local backups. So this allows you to do that. You hit advanced, you get encryption, and then you can select the level of encryption you need. So this is as of 2010. That's been required. So if you have medical offices that are following HIPAA, you need to make sure that your local backups are in fact encrypted. We are encrypting for the offsite backups. Again, we are encrypting all the data at 256-bit AES before transferring. So this option here, splitting a file, this is good for the online backup performance. So if you have a big volume that you're going to back up, again, it doesn't hurt your life to have split images because, again, you don't have to manage it separately. You just right-click the latest incremental that you want and hit recover, and you're good to go. All this does is it makes the online backup portion much, much faster. So we recommend, making it maybe a 6 or 10 gig splitting system, That way you just have a lot of small files that are processed much faster. A lot of the procedures that we're going through are non-linear procedures, meaning there's not a fixed relationship of file size to time to process. It's not 1 hour for 1 gig. It's maybe 1 hour for 1 gig instead of 2 hours for 2 gigs. Maybe it's 3.3 hours for 2 gigs. And those are not hard figures. It's just an example of the relationship. It's a big curve. Anyways, moving right along, we hit next, get you your summary, hit finish, and now it's going to run at the top of the hour. And it's going to fail because I don't have enough drive space, but no matter. So we scheduled that backup. Now let's get it off site, right? So I hit the online backup recovery. It loads up. I have some different options I can put on here as far as the caching, and using telecache, which means it's not going to cache everything. It's going to leave files out based on total size. If they're too small, that it won't cache them. Also, certain file types don't need to be cached. So image file types don't need to be cached because the caching does a delta level backup, meaning it's only for files that have new versions. You never have a new version of an image file. You have a new incremental image file. It's a completely new standalone file, unique file name and file path. So telecache is typically what we leave it at. You don't need to really do that. Or you can turn it off, or you can cache everything. Changing your password, you can do that here. You can backup reports. You can put in multiple email addresses for this, and this is also doable through the wizard. The cache does use local disk space, so you need to make sure you have enough space for that so it doesn't fill up your machine. And you have a real simple way of changing the cache location here. And then also you have some file type filters you can enter. So let's cancel out of here. Let's go to set up online backup. So we go through this. Now we have an intelligent system scan that's going to tell you in your users, again, very simple for users to use, what do we have available to back up? If you mouse over these information icons, it's going to tell you the file types for searching through your machine for. If you go to the custom scan, you can put in specific folders. You can exclude or exclude folder types, file types, by file size. It's a really nice system here. And this is actually going to be what you can control remotely from the new management dashboard, which we're building out. So in the next month we're going to be releasing some really nice management tools so that when you have these deployed on 50, 60, hundreds of machines, you could create groups and say, okay, I need to apply this policy to this person, meaning this scanning backup set and that backup schedule. So you can do that, or you say don't scan, I'll select it manually. I'll hit next. And then it takes us into the classic Windows tree view, so you can come through here. Checkbox means the entire directory is selected for backup. So for instance, the F drive is the destination for all my image-based backups. So as new incrementals are saved here, I want them to be backed up on mine as well. So I just selected the whole directory to be backed up. This square means that something in this directory is selected for backup and not everything. So then we go to next. And check this. You can see the calculation being done here as well. Well, so these are the things that the scanner selected. So actually, I'm going to go back and deselect the scan. And then we just have this. So I'll hit next. Now it's going to pick up the schedule. So I can back up at the end of the wizard, or back up automatically on a schedule. And then here, if you're on a Windows domain environment, you can use your domain credentials so that you'll be able to run backups when they're off-site or logged off, that is. So the frequency, workstations can back up hourly, but if you do this hourly, then you would want to probably not have your users receiving email reports, because hourly online backups can be rather uneventful. You'll get a lot of backup reports that say nothing changed, continue. A lot of people do a lot of work in web-based items. But it's just if you do this, make sure you create a filter for whoever's receiving these emails so that the email report isn't disrupting their main inbox. But hourly is actually a great way, every couple of hours for users. I recommend it, and I actually run my personal backups every couple of hours. Steve has a great question. He says, is this intended for us to back up Company A or for Company A to be able to back up restore on their own? You could really do it either way. Now, the majority of our partners are doing what you mentioned before, which is they're providing the services to the customer to do this. But you do have the ability to enable your users to operate on their own as well. And then maybe your services change. Rather than manage services over time, maybe you do lighter managed services. So it includes the initial setup and monitoring, because online backups are front-heavy service. Getting it in place and getting that initial backup complete is a bit of a chore, and it's the incrementals thereafter that's the set and forget. So you want to be able to get some type of setup service definition, and then you still have a nice monitoring and control, so you can alert their techs like, hey, you had a couple files that didn't back up, you should go check it out. And a follow-up question, can I back up customers from my location? Can you clarify? I mean, if you can remote into their machines, or if you take their data home with you. I'm not clear on where the data is coming from and where it's going on that question. SOS does not have a built-in remote access program now. Okay, so got my email address coming out, so we're going to do this daily, hit finish, and there we go. I go to restore, we go online restore. Once I need to get that data back now, I'll let it refresh, and it's going to give me bold dates where I have backups that have run. So you can go back you can go as far back as your account will allow you to, so as long as you've had it, essentially. So like my personal account, I've had since 2008. I can go way back to 2008. We have unlimited version history. We don't do any type of automatic or timed deletion of data. We are actually looking at adding a new function where you can set a retention time period for image-based backups, but right now there is no automatic purge from our system. If you have multiple versions of the same file, then we don't count the size of every version, we only count the largest version size. So if you have, say you're backing up your PST file, it's 2 gigs on day 1, it's 7 gigs at the end of the year, you've been backing it up a couple times a day, you don't need a couple terabytes, just have access to all that. We're only going to count, let's say, the 7 gig or the 6 gig PST file, and that's all it counts against your online backup. So that's what we mean when we say free, unlimited versioning. That's what we mean. And there's no, so your accounting guys, your legal guys love that because a lot of their security compliance is around retention periods. So this is going to be refreshing. And while this refreshes, let's say we've recovered this information, right? We're not actually going to recover the images because that could take some time as well. So let's say I've recovered it to this machine. I got the F drive here. And this is my recovery location, just as an example. I have here backup job 2, incremental 36. So I right click and say, let's do a quick mount. I need to make this a virtual drive. We're going to see real quickly a new volume pop up over here. It's going to launch me into the volume. There it is. Here's what we just recovered. Very simple. If we go back through the image creator software, go to Wizards and go to Explore Backup to Restore, we can do it more specifically and say Browse, and you come in and you say select, okay, let's select this one that we want to do. Gives us some information about it. We hit Next. Then it says, hey, we actually recognized a whole lot of incrementals. Which one do you want? So I just select the most recent. Give me number 55. So I hit Next. And then the same thing. It's going to ask me for a drive letter. If I want to mount it as read-only or read and write. Depends what you want to do. So I already recovered it. So now let's say, okay, well, now that we've recovered it as a virtual drive, and if you go to this restore option with a boot disk, then you can use the ShutUp recovery tools to mount from a blank machine. Now let's say we recovered that information, so let's go through Exchange Granular Recovery. So we open up this program. So we got EGR loaded. And now first thing is, well, where's this EDB file you have, the Exchange database? So we go to our computer, and we're going to look at this new Exchange volume we just mounted. Get mailbox, and then select the EDB. So this is the main database for the entire Exchange store. It's going to automatically check out where the transaction logs are. If for some reason you need to change that, you can. And hit OK. Then it's going to load up into our source window up here what we just recovered. So we expand the user, we can see access to the calendar, inbox, journal, junk mail, all this good stuff. Next is, okay, well, where do you want to put this data? You can either open a target PST file, which is more of a electronic discovery type of thing. For those of you who are not familiar with electronic discovery, it's typically when there's a lawsuit, whether it's just a company merger or somebody's being sued for IP violation. You know, you have an employee leave one company, start up another, so they want to prove, you know, where that IP came from. Most typically, though, we would just have a live Exchange server we need to connect to. So scenario is, user comes and says, hey, Mr. Tech, I need to get this email that has this really important management guide, and I can't find it anywhere. Can you get it? Can you get it? And you say, okay, sure. And this authentication, by the way, is done by the Windows user that I'm signed in as currently. So you say, no problem. What was the name of that guide? And he said it was an attachment that had it was something about management. And we say, okay, would anyone else have it? He said, it's me. We say, great, well, let's just search the whole database anyways. Well, for now, let's just search the one user. So I'm going to search your user. And again, I have this incremental from, you know, maybe an hour ago because it runs every hour. Hit find now. It comes up with all these. So I pull it up for a quick preview. He says, "This what do you think that might be? What does it say in the attachment?" It says management guide. He says, yes, absolutely, that's the one. Can you send it to me? He says, sure, no problem. Open up his live user, take this, and we're going to drag and drop it into his inbox. And that's it. We're done. If I wanted to change the search, and I can put it into all the entire source file, hit OK, find now, and then it's going to search every mailbox to see, you know who has touched this thing. You know, so if you need to see, okay, who has seen this, who knows about this, whatever it is, you can do that very easily. So it's a really powerful search and preview tool that's very simple to use. You can also drag and drop an entire user, or you could drag and drop the entire Exchange store into this new hardware, and it's going to ask you, okay, do you want to create users that we don't currently recognize? I'd say, yeah, I would love that. I'm not going to do that now. But that's the whole program. Any questions about Image Creator, ServerSave, or Online Backup and Recovery? And here's all the machines that this account is currently being used on. So we got our new generic Mac client is out here. You know, a bunch of different demo servers. Now I'll pull up a quick article that just explains, you know, how you deploy this in your environment. So we go to support from our main website. And you go to our knowledge base. We have different categories in here. The SOS Partner Program is going to have the information about the web integration package and how to use it. And ServerSave is about ServerSave, what it is and how to use it. So first there's a user guide. If we go to FAQ, and it's Article 11, is joining a staging machine or a staging server. This is a common question because of image-based backups. Most companies like Zenith, Datto, they make you pay $1,000, $2,000 out the door for something like this, and you can't even choose the configuration. We don't make you buy hardware for it, but we do recommend doing it. And you could get a pretty good staging machine together for about $500 or $600. So what you do is you use Image Creator, and again, we would create the image backup that we showed earlier, and we would point it to a network location, the staging machine. And then we install the Online Backup Recovery Manager on the staging machine as well as on any laptop and desktop, and run backups directly from the staging machine and those laptops and desktops. And of course, the mobile applications, your users can have those, and they can choose to use those to also back up or recover data from their mobile devices. So it's a really nice solution that you have laid out here, where you can, you know, pretty simply see what's going on and how it should be arranged in every environment. And it's a really important thing to understand this, because not only is it important to do these items, but it's critical to be able to map out what you're doing for your customers when you're talking about managed service packages. So this gives you a really nice way for you to put authority behind why you want to do something. It's like, well, if you're not backing up for these workstations and laptops, you know, what's at risk? You know, and again, even with terminal services, people with laptops are working off-site. They're saving things off the terminal services. It depends what it is. So it's just a really nice way to do it. And also, if you have people who ever work off-site, having that access to the mobile device is really nice. So pulling back to our presentation, and close this out. So again, we have some different pricing structures. So, and this is also going to increase after this month. So this is the last month that we're going to see this pricing here. And I don't have the figures on how it increases, but basically what we've seen is, you know, this is just, we're upping some of the services. So the $399 is going to be gone after the end of this month. All these prices change. So the base package, it looks, if you were to split it evenly between a license and cloud space, you have the ability to back up to 200 gigs per business plus one server license. And that costs you $80 per month. So the suggested retail is about $130, and that does not include the managed services behind it. That's just the software as a service cost. So if you're doing extra management behind it, you know, maybe you're doing setup fees, monitoring, you know, you got some RMM programs in there, and that's really nice. And again, like Shannon was saying, it's a stepping stone. So you can start off at ServerSave 5 and then up it as you see appropriate. So some of you probably have some customers you're thinking right now, like, well, we have, you know, we got 10 servers right now that we need to do this for. You know, are your bare metal image licenses expiring right now? This is a good point to move on to that. That's been a big reason the SMB market's taken off now and not a couple of years ago, is because a lot of them had 3 to 5 years on their current configurations. So they really had to milk that for every dime to get the value out of it before they could justify to themselves to move forward on something completely new. So this is that time, and it's a great point to get in. And again, our partner specialists, they're going to be there to really show you how much money you can be making. Steve has a question, SMB, small medium business. I apologize. So the SMB market. So when we're talking about SMBs, we're talking about you got micro businesses, which are essentially people who are working from home, less than 5 employees. And then your SMB is essentially anything larger than that, up to about 60 or 70 employees. I think by definition, it's actually a small business has less than 200 or 300 employees. But for the most part, we're talking about in that 50 to 60 range is most common. Somewhere between 20 and 60. Is everyone pretty much serving that market? You got your micro businesses, and then you have your SMBs with anywhere between 10 and 60 employees. It's a good figure to have when you're talking about this type of service, because you can generally estimate about 5 gigs of data that needs to be backed up per employee. So you got 60 employees. You could roughly estimate that they're going to need about a 300 gig backup account, and you'll be surprised how accurate that actually is. And of course, that it depends industry to industry, but as you keep working in it, you'll find that that's about right. 5 to 10 gigs per employee is a great average to have. Consumers are a little different because they're also storing all sorts of pictures, and you can buy a 15 megapixel camera for $100 now. So it's real easy to get 10, 15 gigs just in pictures nowadays. So this is just a nice little configuration of the back end, and there's also an knowledge-based article on this. I get some more information about the specifics of how you would back up and recover these items, and again we have knowledge-based articles for this. And this is kind of the more technical details of what's happening in the back end. But really, 877-896-3611, extension 1. Get on board with one of our partner specialists. They'll give you all the details you need, different collateral, point you in the direction for videos, content, whatever it is you need to make a decision. Plus, the most important part of getting into any venture, are you going to make any money? If so, how much? Is the juice worth the squeeze? So they're going to go through a complete ROI, and they'll even undershoot it a little bit just to make sure that it is really something that we all want to be into. And then after that, we'll figure out what program makes sense for you. So any questions before we go today? One question, if we enter at the ServerSave 5, and we want to upgrade, do we get the upgrade price as it's listed now, or as you said, when the prices change later? It'll be as when we said the prices will change later, but if you want to try to negotiate that option, like if you know you're going to be upgrading next month, after 1 month, you just want to start off, get some money on board, and then get bigger. Talk with your partner specialists. They're willing to work with you and be creative. All right. Well, thank you all for your time today. We appreciate everything. And again, my name is Derek Wood, Partner Product Manager here at SOS, and we're looking forward to having you all on board. So cheers. Have a good Father's Day weekend.